Hi there, welcome. This is Cambridge House Live. My name is Jonathan Roth. Today, joining me right now is Brent Cook, probably one of the best known geologists in the business. Thanks very much for joining us.
Glad to be here.
Now, you've been on the record of stating that 95% of juniors will amount to nothing. Considering what's going on out there, that percentage, might it be a little bit even higher than 95%? What do you think?
What I really said was I've got this chart, discovery curve, where it looks like discovery goes up and eventually go down, and the ones that actually have something climb back up. But 95% of the ones that head up that curve end up at the bottom and don't have anything. Yeah. And that's that's a ballpark number, but that's about what it is, and it's functioning a lot of things, but probably mostly it's geology.
Okay, so how, as an investor, that 5% that's out there that are going to make it, obviously you want to get on some of the 95% on the ones on the way up and bail at the right time. But the 5% that make it, how does the average investor figure this sort of stuff out?
It's really tough. To be honest, this is a very, very specialized industry. You've got to know geology, you got to know metallurgy, you got to know mining engineering, then you got to worry about socioeconomic issues, politics, all that sort of thing. So it's really got to be specialized. But I think the one thing what I try and do is given how risky this is, I think you only want to be looking for a company that has the chance, or looks like they're developing, that a high margin deposit, that is large enough and significant enough to attract a major. That's what I'm really after. And to do that, you've just got to understand what a company's looking for, and then watch as it evolves. And as long as those hurdles keep getting hit, then you're okay. But as soon as something looks like it's going wrong, get out.
You got to get out. Okay.
And so you've got to watch these things really close. Mm-hmm. And really, I think you should use advisors, newsletter writers,
sure,
brokers, geologists.
Someone like you, frankly.
Yeah, that's what my newsletter's all about.
Yeah. Now, the intersection of, you have geology and you have finance, and the intersection between the two, oftentimes, unfortunately in this business, doesn't always happen in the most ethical of ways. How do you know which company to go to so that you are with companies that are going to, make that partnership between those two, disciplines in the right way?
Yeah, well, this is a small industry, and I think you can get to know people through their record. You can meet them at these conferences and talk to the guys in the booth, watch what their insider sales are like, look and see how much money is being spent on exploration versus paying them or paying their affiliates, that sort of thing. And I gave it in my presentation today. There's one thing I used was this whole industry, this whole brokerage industry here in Canada, it's all about, it starts off as being their dream and your money, and the whole process turns it into their money and your dream. So make sure that dream is something that you really understand and believe in.
Right. So when we're taking a look at some of these companies, let's just say how the process works in terms of when you're working with some of these companies to sort out what they have and what they don't have. I think a lot of investors, some of the only tools we have is to take a look at, we go online and we see maybe what the CEO is getting paid, these sorts of things, and we take a look at the stock price. And frankly, sometimes the remuneration and where the stock price is, they don't match up.
Right.
When you see that, is that a sign that you should not be involved with that company, or is that just part and parcel of this business? Because the truth is that these guys do have they have fiduciary responsibility. There are things that are riding, there are some really serious ramifications for them if things go wrong.
Yeah, no, I think that's certainly a red flag you got to watch out for. And you got to realize that, these people do need to make money.
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem. And it's tough to get people in the industry now. There's a severe shortage of geologists, mining engineers, and that sort of thing. So as a company, you're going to end up paying someone a decent wage to go out and spend half their life in the jungle,
right,
looking for a gold deposit. I don't really have a problem with that. But I'd like to see that they're also committed in terms of how much stock they own and what they paid for that stock, so that ultimately you make money if they make money. I mean, that's a good one. And I think you can look at a company's website, and how they're presenting themselves on the website. When they put out a news release, are there maps and sections and details? Are they giving you enough information that if you had the technical ability, you could interpret it?
Right.
If they don't, then there's a problem.
Right, okay, all right. Now, is it essential that a CEO be a geologist? To what degree is that important?
No, not really. In fact, a lot of times that's a hindrance, because geologists tend to be dreamers.
I was just going to say, that's something you've labeled them many times. Yeah.
And it's just, you've got to be. I mean, you're taking a little bit of data and projecting it at depth with the hopes of finding something significant. And every once in a while it works. And you need that in a geologist. But you need someone in charge who's rational enough to know when something's not working. That's the key. Most of these companies, they don't give up when something's not working. They keep going and going.
Right.
And
for that matter, because what you just said there, do you really trust company geologists? Because in many ways, obviously you work for a company, you say you found something, well, you have something to prove not only to your shareholders, but you have something to prove to the rest of your peers at the company you work for.
Yeah, do I trust company geologists? It depends. And geology is very inexact, so my interpretation of what I'm seeing on the ground could be totally different than what they're seeing. And none of us is necessarily right per se until the holes are drilled. But I think you've got to understand what a system is, what the geologic, what's going on geologically, what the deposit should look like. And if it's not looking like that, get out.
Right. Now, you've often said that you should buy, you need to buy companies knowing who's going to buy from you eventually.
Right.
That's easy to say, a lot harder to do. How do you practice that in your own experience?
I'm looking for projects and deposits that a major money company is going to buy. I don't go into stock betting that someone dumber than me is going to buy it. I want to sell it to somebody smarter. And it comes down to, again, looking at what it's going to cost if they find what they're looking for. What's it going to cost to get there? What's it going to be worth if they find it? And it's all about profit margin. It's not about grade per se. It's about profit margin. I can show you a gold deposit averaging 0.9 grams a ton. It's extremely profitable, and another that's got 5 grams, and they're going to lose money on it. So it's margin. You've just got to understand the basics behind what it's going to cost to drill it out, blow it up, break it up into little bits, process it in the mill, and get the gold or whatever out at the back end. If you can get a sense of that, you just need to be in the ballpark early on. If something's going to work or not, or could work or not.
So the climate for juniors has not been great in the last few months. Where do you see things going here over the next 2 to 3 months?
Overall, I think it gets a lot worse.
Worse?
A lot worse.
Really? Okay.
We've, in the past...
For juniors, you're saying?
For juniors especially. The past 2 years, they've raised in the order of 10, 11, 12 billion dollars, I think it is. There's been 300-something new IPOs in 2 years, and there's 1,500 active junior explorations company out there. Realistically, about 10% of them have viable targets with viable managements, with viable share structures, with enough cash to do something.
Right.
So it's going to get really, really ugly, but that's good.
That is good.
That's good because the people that ran all these things.
There are a lot of people here that wouldn't say that's a good thing.
Well, that's because they don't have anything.
Right.
But there's a lot of people that, a lot of money came into this sector a couple of years ago and ran all these stocks up indiscriminately. It's going to run them all down indiscriminately too. So if we can just identify the 10% that actually have something of value or could have something of value, we're going to make a lot of money. This is really setting up good. It's going to be ugly this year, but 2 years from now, I think we're going to be looking at the stocks we bought this year, 25 cents, that are going to be at 250 with real discoveries, But you got to be careful. No one's going to, there's no room for errors.
So, with that in mind then, is now a good time to buy, or obviously you think we should still be waiting, holding on?
I don't know when the bottom's going to come or what it's going to look like, so I look at something and figure out what I think it's really worth, on a net present value calculation. And when it gets below that, I'll buy it and hope, and if it goes down again for no reason at all, I'll buy a bit more. I'm not all in. I'm just staggering my buys in on these things because I don't know where the bottom's going to be.
Okay, so moving off of that a little bit here, where are you going to find yourself here over the next couple of months? Where are you traveling to? What are you seeing? What excites you?
God, I'm always on the road. I think I'm hoping to get down to the Dominican Republic, up to the
They
Yukon.
just had an election there. You think? You probably haven't even taken a look yet, but how do you think things are going to work out down there?
Dominican Republic is a good place to be.
Good opportunity.
That's one of the better provinces, I think, or nations to be developing mines. I like it there.
Yeah.
So I've got no problems there. I was just in Chile and in Peru. I need to get back to Eastern Europe. There's a couple things there that look good, over into Armenia. That's what my summer looks like.
So you're a busy man, traveling a lot.
You've got to look at these things. You always learn something new on the ground that you can't get out of the flip books or a website. You always learn something.
Well, listen, appreciate your time, and look forward to the next time you can join us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.